Right now, there's only a few tables that have artifacts that are being worked on from the president's house, but this whole site here is open to the public. You can come in and watch people work on the artifacts themselves. All the artifacts here are from feature 22, which is from the well at the very front part of the president's house property. We did get at least one nice intact artifact out of it, which is this Chinese export plate, and it's got a maker's mark on the bottom. And what we think is that this was probably manufactured someplace in Southeast Asia, either Southeast China, possibly down into the Vietnam Peninsula, someplace like that. This is not a royal maker's mark. So we've got somebody here that's producing knockoffs for the China export trade. These are all knife handles. You can see part of the blade that's snapped off, and this is the hand-carved bone handle for the knife itself. We also got a whole lot of animal bone out of the bottom of it, remains of somebody's meal, oyster shells, and a whole assortment of bottle glass and whatnot that came out of the bottom of that feature. Other things include other food remains, part of peach pits, acorns. This pot here is again 18th century, probably in age. This came out of feature 4, which is the well that sat just in front of the viewing platform at the president's house. This was the only piece that I recall that came out of there that came out unbroken. It's a little odd that something this big dropped 30 feet down a well would have survived intact, but it's possible that if there was still a few feet of water in the bottom of the well, that might have helped to break the fall of this object when it hit. But this is typical of local Philadelphia wares, manufactured locally, some sort of a storage container, storage pot. So they date from sometime in the 18th century, possibly from around the president's house time. We haven't completely dated that deposit yet, and it's possible that it could be just a little earlier than the president's house. We have 2 tables here where the archaeologists are cleaning an assortment of clay smoking pipes that were recovered from one of the wells on the property. Now, these pipes date to about 100 years after the president's house time period, at a time when part of the president's house property was taken over by the Zorn Pipe Company. And what we have is an assortment of pipes that were carried as part of the stock in their store, and it's probably mostly items that were broken inventory and whatnot that at some point in time was discarded down one of the partially filled wells that was underneath their basement.